Hello Commanders, hope you're all doing well today. In today's video I want to talk about something that's a little bit detailed, but I've tried to break it down in a way that's digestible or easy to explain. And that is talking about researches and I guess what has value in the game when you're considering buying a prime, for example, or when you're looking at the value of your fleet commander skills. It's actually something that was prompted by my earlier video where I did a video on fleet commander Sloan. Because there's certain things there's a lot of research in the game on, like piercing, or certain mitigation stats, things like that. And so I wanted to just kind of go through a quick example here with you, walk through with you and explain to you kind of the way that the math works. Some of you more advanced players are going to know this pretty well in and out, better than me even. But I wanted to put this out to help some of the entry level or mid-level players to understand kind of how Scopely math works. And so obviously, you more advanced players, if you see some errors in my calculation as I've tried to really bring this down to a very basic level, please correct me. I want to get out correct information, but as far as I understand, this is how it works. So let me pull up an Excel spreadsheet and I will show you. So bear with me if you hate math, but this is informative, I think, information if you don't understand this basic concept of how things work in the game. Okay, so here we are looking at some potential, just not potential, I guess that's the wrong word, just a scenario. You know, this isn't actual primes in the game, it's just to show you the effect of how you might think it would work compared to how it actually does work. So in this first example, the first scenario, we've got 5 different primes that come out and you buy every single one or you do every single research and this is what you expect. So with this first one, and they're all 30%, just kept that standard. So 30%, you have a base whole health of 500,000, so you expect a 30% increase on that. So we're just multiplying those two for a total of 650. With the second prime, you think, okay, I've got 650 whole health. A 30% increase on that, the 650 times 30% is 845. So we're adding the 2. And it just goes down that you get a 30% increase every single time. At the end of 5 whole hit point primes, you get about 1.85 million in whole health. You spent $500. Every time you spend money, you get a 30% increase. You feel like, okay, I'm getting value for my money. Well, how it actually works is this. So first off, the first prime is going to be the same, where you get the 130% increase off of base times your base whole health for a total of 650. With the second one, what we're doing is we're adding up your bonuses, so a total of 60%, and you're timesing that by your base for a total of 300,000. This 800,000 is actually, when you take the difference and divide by the 650, you actually get only a 23% increase from the 650 to the 800,000. As you go up on the same methodology or the same way of calculating it, with this third one, you add up the 3, so 90% times your base, you get a total increase of 450,000. And off of that increase, you get an 18.75% increase off of the previous prime you just bought. And so based upon the 30% that you're continuing to get, each time you're getting diminishing returns, you're getting less bang for your buck, if you will. And this is what, when RevDeuce is always talking about power creep, is this fact right here. that as they keep putting out more and more and more research into the game, you think you're going to get something. If you don't know how this works, you think you're going to get this 30% boost to your prime or to your whole health with this last prime, when in fact you're only from the previous one getting like a 13%. So what you have to do is, if we change this last one to 66%, then we're getting a 30% boost from our last research. So it's almost like you have to buy 2 primes, 2 30% boosts, even though that's not quite how it works, but the value of 2 to get to the back to the 30%. So ultimately, this is the problem. And when you're looking at, I want to go back to the game because I like the view of the game better than I do a spreadsheet for my videos, even though I work with spreadsheets all the time. So this is where it really comes down to it. It comes down to that if there, and this can apply to efficiencies and other things that are in the game, that you need a much larger percentage if you have a lot more researches that affect whatever you're talking about to make any significant impact. So that's why if I hop back into, just real quick, and I won't go through all of the skills for Sloan, but I have to remember here, let's hop into the skill tree. And I want to say one of the critical hits. Oh, I was thinking the damage boost probably. Yeah, damage boost. So if we hop into damage boost, that 65% is, it's not bad. I mean, it's something, right? But it's not interesting, I think, until you get to the higher tiers when you're getting hundreds of a percentage to make that worth it to you. So that 60%, if you have 30%, 60%, whatever it is, those small percentages in the game don't mean so much anymore as they used to. And that's why they've come out with these new, what is it? Is it beta? Or these special resources for those 60 and above, is because they've increased the numbers so much, they've got to come out with a new resource to kind of start the calculator over from scratch. At least that's my understanding, that billions and trillions no longer mean anything in this game because of the huge costs, and so they've got to have these new resources to make it worth your while, to make it impactful. Kind of resetting the clock. And they kind of had to do something like that with the isolytic damage. I think is the same principle, where the numbers just started getting, kind of higher and higher, and there was a lot of research. The research that people were buying just wasn't making that big of an impact. So they introduced isolytic, which kind of reset that whole power creep aspect of it for the players. So just something to keep in mind. And as you're looking at things, just think to yourself, how much research is there in the game? Is this really making that big of a difference in my game? If it's a prime, you might want to look at it and say, yeah, that's really not going to change my game that much. If you're looking at something that has value like a fleet commander or even a free-to-play research, you have to look at it and say to yourself, are those numbers significant enough that it's going to make me investing my resources in it worth it to change my gameplay all that much? So hopefully this is helpful. Once again, if there's things that some of the higher level players or the players that know this really well want to comment on, I'm happy to hear those comments and even improve my knowledge of this all the more. But I really just wanted to try and take it down to a very basic level with a very basic example to show you that power creep is a real thing. And we're to a point in this game where there's so much research for different things that it's easy to get excited about a research and think, wow, this is really going to change my game and it's going to help me out so much. When in fact, unless you have big numbers, that there's a lot of the similar research out there, it's really not going to change things all that much. So anyways, leave your comments your comments below. I'll read through all of them. I love to hear from all my viewers and their different viewpoints. Really helps me to become a better player and better content creator as well. Anyways, thanks so much and have a good day.